Hello everybody, Thy Lord Roots here, and welcome back to another episode of Fight for Survival. So, we're going to return to our moon launch, but before we do that, I just wanted to get some contracts. We have to land here in 59 minutes. We'll go ahead and we'll plant this flag. We don't actually have to land there. We'll also, since we have 4 years to rescue this guy, we will also attempt to rescue Rodvis. Maybe with an improved launcher, because we do need the money. Science data from the moon we definitely want, and we'll get a little bit of science from that too. As well as science data from Kerbin, I think we can make that happen. Finally, we got a couple of these guys that do not expire. So we will explore Duna and explore Ike. And so we have managed to inject cash back in, and we now have a mission to get to. So let's go ahead and Johnzer, he never died, did he? He will die pretty soon, although maybe I got 2 hours to get to him, but I'm just going to leave him for dead for now, because there's really no way we can rescue him. So we'll return to the Munar Explorer, which has now been in orbit for 2 days. Now, we have already collected a little bit of science here. As you can see, we have the crew report, which we have not taken, or which we have taken rather. Maybe we can get the EVA report out of this. No EVA report, but we can. Oh, yeah, and Kerbal is on a ladder. Let's try and get a crew report, or not a crew report, but because I don't think we can get another one, but we can get an EVA report, as we are probably nowhere near the East Crater. But we'll keep that, and we do have quite a number of things we can do, so we'll transmit that, get our contract fulfilled, because we get 100% on it. That's Highlands right there. I haven't really decided yet if I'm going to, because we can be here for 13 days, and that would be awesome. We probably do want to get on that though, so I think I'll land first. We'll get on the dark side of the moon here. Maybe get out and see if there's any crew reports we can get, because it's definitely worth the science. So we got Munar Midlands here, and I just hopped off that ladder. We'll transmit that real quick. Looks like another crater coming up. Better keep our resources open, because we might run out of electric charge if we're not careful. 24 science will be available. I want to make a more sophisticated lander, and for that matter a more sophisticated launch stack, but I believe until then we can grab most of these, because we have more than enough food. So maybe if we get over another crater of some kind, then we can do that. If we just go to TAC life support, we've got 30 days of food. I'm not going to keep this guy out here for 30 days. but I will attempt to grab EVA reports above some of these biomes while we're waiting for our lunar insertion berm, which I will, or our landing insertion berm, which I'll bring down to maybe 2k. Seems like maybe 5k would be better, or 8k. I think 8k is a good trade-off. And so we'll just get prepared for that. We will have to be incredibly careful. Because we will need to hit Apsis here. Maybe there's another biome that I can hit while we're at it. This is the only thing that's really gone right so far. I'm not sure how long that's going to last us, so I am anxious to land on the moon and get back. We got 13 minutes. Maybe we will hit a crater of some kind. It's hard to tell where on the moon we will find interesting features. Except we found the canyons. It's not bad. We'll send that out because we do have plenty of power at this point, and I think we can afford it. And we should have more than enough in terms of power to transmit that. I mean, we've already collected a ton of science. We are just going to have to hope that Bill does not expire. He sure wishes Jeb were here, I'm sure, but then again, maybe not, because nobody ever picks Bill. Now that looks like a crater. And I should have a map in front of me, so I mean, one of the things I'm thinking about doing is installing ISA MapSat. And possibly remote tech. So I will play around with that some and let you. Whoa, okay. That was not quite what I had in mind. Let's see how much we need to bring our Apsis down now, because we are essentially done with that. I don't believe we will hit any mountains, but we may come close. Okay, we can just sort of go full throttle there. Although, in reality, it may be better at this point. Just go ahead and lower our periapsis as much as we can. Hit that crater in there. That we won't hit it exactly, but that looks like a good place to start. It's going to give us a little bit of breathing room here. And I'm just going to use this stage when we get there to begin killing all of our Delta V. or not of our delta V, but our velocity. Although I do not believe we are going to get there. I mean, I guess I could do this little number right here. And we will for sure get there, although it's really a matter of us lowering our inclination. We want to, if we're burning south, then that should, in principle, I mean, we'll pass over that. Although I don't know if we will get over those mountains at this point. Well, you know what? I'm going to land here. This seems like a reasonable place to land, so... Although we are probably going to be okay here. We are still quite high up. And we will be able to hit the rim of that crater, but I'm not entirely sure that we will be doing this correctly, because we want to lower that hill. I am trying to be a little bit cautious here, because Bill will die if I'm not, and while you may think that that's funny, I think it's particularly tragic. So we're about to glide into that mountain. No, we still got a little way to go. Okay, I'm gonna begin by getting over here, and I believe this is probably the crater we'll begin lowering this as much as we can. Oh yeah, it looks like we must have missed the that crater by quite a bit. I think this will be okay though. Because we should kill most of our velocity here. We're still quite high up. Thrust to weight ratio is quite good, actually. And before too long, I'm going to ditch this stage, because that is a good starting point, I believe. I'm not too worried about that little bit of fuel there. But let's take a crew report, because we are flying in space near the moon. How, I do not know. I guess we have to be a little bit closer before we count as flying over the moon. We're going... Oh, wait, I never staged that, did I? try something completely new to me. Well, it's not completely new to me, but I'm gonna try for the smoothest landing I've ever done. Can we get temperature data while we're flying? Because we do... One thing we do want to make sure is that whatever we do, we reach our apsis, or not our apsis, but our landing zone quickly. And we're still quite a bit up. It's probably good to start throttling back a bit. Because we're now within 1,000 feet, and I do not want to be the one that explains that Bob has died, nonetheless doing his duty. But he still died. His parents, if they exist, you know, I haven't quite figured out how Kerbals reproduce. I suspect they either reproduce by budding, or they reproduce by, maybe cloning. Budding would sort of make more sense, because when they do respawn... Oh, there we go. When they do respawn, they do, let's see, are we able to get an EVA report here? I'm just going to get an EVA report for... Oh, we're on the East Crater, so we're back where we started. We do want to be careful on this landing, because it's, you know, we're dropping quite slowly. In fact, we really want to maintain as much of this as we can. Because we're already at 500 feet, I'm going to start slowing down a bit, because my plan is more or less to get ourselves touching down less than 1 or 2 meters per second. So we've got to, you know, we've got to slow ourselves down enough to where we can pull that off. I mean, we're now fighting gravity here. Trying to keep everything stable, which is not the world's easiest thing to do. If I could just let this guy hover. And kill that side slip motion. I mean, the fortunate thing is we do have more than enough delta V at this point. I'm just going to... I didn't realize I was coming in that slowly. I misread that 300 as 100. There we go. Now we're under 100. And so it is important that whatever we do, we land this guy down softly. And that will happen there we go. We can celebrate our first landing. It's not the world's best landing, and I fear, maybe we want to move forward a bit. Which I mean, we want to turn over in this direction here. We'll just hover until we get to flatter land, because that is not the world's best landing spot. Whoa, 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 whoa. Alright. This could be a bit of a problem. We'll try this approach here. This is kind of what I was afraid of. Although it's good to know we can get back up. I'm still... part of the deal is this guy is a little bit backwards. I haven't even touched my drink yet. That is... Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, I did it again. I don't know if we have enough torque, I reckon, to get back up. I mean, this is going to be about as flat as we'll get, I'm sure. Okay, that, I think, will do. At least we know how to get back up if we accidentally do this deal. But we've got science from the moon, which we'll transmit back. Probably completing one of our contracts in the process. And two of them, in fact. So we got science data from the moon in space. And we had another one. I mean, that will help us a fair deal. But we have this plan to, that we really need to take care of. First of all, we need to go on over here. That's the communitron, which means this must be the other deal here. We'll store that experiment and get an EVA report, which I do not believe we can do. We'll grab another temperature deal, unless... Though, oh wait, maybe I have to be inside to take temperature. I'm sure that if Neil Armstrong had this kind of trouble. He might have just given up on the whole moon thing. But yeah, we're okay here. Now we have an EVA report we need to do. And that'll be worth 32 science. I'm going to hold on to that. But we also happen to have something very special. We have a flag to commemorate this momentous occasion. And so, we'll just deploy that flag. And we'll put in something in remembrance of Jebediah Kerman. And so we'll say, in remembrance of Jebediah Kerman, who died in a catastrophic failure to notice altitude. We plant this flag in the hopes that all Kerbal kind shall remember him forever. So we have a little memorial going on there. And we'll take a surface sample too. Now, we can actually go quite a way, but we're not really that well equipped to do so. I hadn't really thought this one through. What would happen if we got stranded on here? On the moon. And the only thing I can think is that, well, with this craft we can flip it over, even though its center of gravity is really high. But let's review our stored data and transmit back what we have here. And then I believe we shall begin this journey home. And since we have Johnzer now, or not Johnzer, Johnzer is unfortunately going to die. But we'll get going here. Although I suppose it would be possible. We have a lot of fuel. Why don't we go to another biome? Let's see, which one is this? Are we still over the craters? Yeah, we're still over the crater. There was no real point to that. But I believe maybe that is the canyon. We'll just fly around for a bit. Let's see if maybe we can find a new biome. We got an EVA report here. I think what we'll do is we will bring up our axis zone. So we're not descending into the ground. That would not be something I would be in favor of. Although, you know, we are running low on fuel, as much as I hate to say it. So we'll just do a gravity turn and get You know, despite the facts that in reality it's not all that hard for us to get into orbit. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and get this guy situated about 10 kilometers. Presently, and when we get to apoapsis, we will begin burning back, because I think we need about 200 to burn back towards carbon, and that will cause us to go the wrong way, so I'm just going to circularize real quick. I mean, we are almost there. And we don't really have all that much in the way of burn time, do we? But we are now coming up on our apoapsis. It doesn't need to be perfectly circular. It just needs to be circular enough that we can plan out our escape burn. And so that's coming soon. That's coming now, in fact. Mostly clear of anything that could cause us trouble. I'm just going to come on back, except the maneuver node system has stopped working for some reason. So I'm not entirely sure what has happened here. I'm just going to go to the Space Center real quick. I wonder how much in the way of science I have. I mean, we should be able to, from that mission alone, get some fairly nice things. And there are things that we have not taken temperature readings of that we may want to. That's going to be my my science here. I mean, we've somehow managed to hit our reputation almost at the end of it here. We are going to be up here, and then I think that'll be the end. But there we go. We will go back to the Munar Explorer. We will land our first Kerbal. There we go. I believe we can add this maneuver now. And we'll come in with the fairly shallow apoapsis. I don't really want to entertain the idea of burning per se, and I don't know where we're entering. Something tells me, however, that I have overdone this just slightly. There we go. We have 117. we can make a very shallow re-entry here, and I'm just going to do that by lowering our periapsis to like 30 something. That seems about right. We may not recover any money from this mission, but we're now at 5 grand from that, and that's not a bad thing. Minmus would be a better target for science, I think. I mean, you can get a lot of science from the moon. There's a lot of biomes, but I want to improve our lander because this is more of a Minmus lander. And because it's more designed for Minmus, that has some implications. But we need to go ahead and get on out. We have enough Delta V, probably. And that's going to be something that I'm going to take advantage of. And we may even have enough to cushion our impact some. Even though we are ahead just a little bit. What is our exterior apsis? I just want to make sure that whatever it is we do, we get down to our stated apsis. We are a little bit off. There we go. Oh, you know what? We need to do a couple of things I did not do. I don't believe we got a crew report high over the moon. Nor did we get an EVA report, if that's the case. Let's see. How are we on resources? Review report. Transmit that report. I probably should have gone ahead and grabbed the temperature while we were at it. Oh yeah, there's no way to do temperature scan in high orbit. Well, that's okay, we'll get one in low carbon orbit. And we will send a bunch of guys out there. I'm going to wait until we get fairly close in that case, because I believe we already have the crew report for high orbit. I'm not sure about that, but we have... Oh no. Well, apparently we never got here. Which means we just fulfilled another contract. How many do we have left? We do need to explicitly test some of these things, and I will do it. But not on this mission. This kind of this kind of a deal is not going to really work out. Okay, we're hopefully in low orbit at this point. I'm gonna gather the temperature data. If I can, in fact, find it. I believe it's the way we're oriented. It would probably be somewhere around here. because one of these is the communicatron. Oh, there we go. Log temperature. Got 8 science cell that we're going to get Jeb to harvest that for us. And we will grab that science if I can, in fact, find it. And maybe there's a new biome we can get here as well. We're above Kerbin's water. But we're about to be over some landmass, maybe mountains of some kind. How's our inclination? I'm sure we will not land over KSC, but we are on the side that KSC is at. We just have to make sure that we do not hit Rodviz in doing this. No, we're still over the water. Okay, I'm gonna give up on trying to extract any data for now, because we are now in the atmosphere. So well, we don't have any life support on that actually. Let's just ditch what we have here. There's no reason to keep it. I don't want to deploy this parachute, however. That could be disastrous. And we will just make sure that wherever we land, we're going to be close by. Now, we did not, unfortunately, do a temperature scan in the upper atmosphere. And if I can get to it in time, I will go ahead and do that. Nothing appears to be at risk here. But I believe it may be the case that we may skip out of the atmosphere. Maybe I did a little bit lower than I should have. Yeah, okay. Can we lower that? I'm hoping the answer to that question is yes. Because to be quite honest, I don't really want to have to explain why it is that I just killed the new hero to replace Job. And I'm sure nobody else does either. Ablative shielding is good. We've barely used it, in fact. And I'm beginning to wonder if maybe I didn't make these settings a little bit too low on here. Because this is a rather resilient capsule. But my next plan is probably going to involve docking ports. And we actually are going to get pretty close, it looks like. Maybe not as close as I would have liked, but for a straight shot from the moon without really doing any calculation, I'll take it. because we do have some expensive hardware on here. And I'm beginning to think that this will lead to good things. Now we are now flying out of the atmosphere, and hopefully the aerodynamics of the capsule will help push us down a bit. When we hit about 10 meters per second, I'm going to go ahead and begin doing some science. And that is going to happen if we go to our vessel velocity here. I'm going to do something really tricky. Something that is not the wisest thing to do. And I am going to do nothing, because there's no point in doing that. Will we have a landing on land? It doesn't look like it. Looks like we will splash down on the shores somewhere. But we are now descending back into the atmosphere. And that's something that I'm definitely down for. It's a 2-day mission we had, which I think, in hindsight, maybe we overprepared just a little bit. Maybe just a smidgen. We're now back in the atmosphere and rapidly losing velocity. And because we have so much energy, we're also rapidly losing our ablative shielding, which is somehow protecting the RCS port. But it won't be long now. We will be landing. And we will be popping that chute. We have a little bit of RCS left over, so if we need to retro brake for our landing, or retro burn rather, because I guess retro brake really is not an adequate description of this still, and we will do so. We just want to make sure that Bob, in some way or some form, gets down safely. And we will grab that monopropellant there. We are landing a bit heavy. In fact, we are landing quite heavy. But you know what? We have time to waste, so I'm going to hop on out. Hope that I do not drop off of the ladder and grab this data so we can log the temperature again. You get our next EVA report here as well. I don't think we've done an EVA report over the water. We'll just have to be very careful. And I think we will survive. So what we can do now is take our temperature here somehow. If I can get that thing targeted. And now we should have a ton of science when we come back. So how much science did we get back? Maybe not as much as we should have. Oh, 447. Bill Kerman is now very highly decorated. And we recovered 798 funds because we were too far away from KSC. Why he got only 1.1 reputation is beyond me. Let's just go back to the... Oh, wow, Jeb has respawned. Because I made him capable of doing so. Jeb will have to be maybe the first guy on Minimus, which we will play around with, but let's spend some of this science real quick. Get some things that we really want. We could get plane parts for 90 science, and that includes fairing upgrades for 3 meters. I think I'm going to get that. That'll be worth maybe the money. We also have this, which will give us fuel lines and a better descent engine. I'm going to take that as well. Landing gear will be needed if we're planning on getting the planes, but that is... We might want small fairings. I'm not sure if that'll be something we can do. I want docking ports, though, because we can do science in orbit. And I also want... Maybe the grabber might be good for orbital debris. I'm not quite ready yet for that, though. And do we have an intake with this at all? We have no intake if we get this. Oh no, we do. So we could potentially fly around and do that. Solar panels are going to be necessary for this, so I'm going to grab solar panels as well. And we should pretty much be where we want to be, at least at this point. We can build a space station that'll get us to where we want. We did not incidentally grab the one thing we probably should have, but we can get stuff in orbit. We can also begin to work on Minimus as well, which I think would be really quite the idea. But let me just check the time. I think it's about time for me to call it a day. So this has been Lord Roots, and I will, at least if my screen will come back up, any time now, KSP. Come on, you can do it. Maybe. Maybe you can do it, I don't know. I have little faith in you now. Oh, there we go. But, yeah, at any rate, this has been Lord Roots, and I will see you later.